Welcome back to the channel, and today we thought we'd do a little short for you exploring why we made the switch from caravans to motorhomes. Now for us, time spent with leisure vehicles goes back a long way. For myself, it goes back to the mid-70s and spending my first holidays as a baby and a child in a static caravan in Ingoldmells, and that was with my grandparents. They bought that back in 1972. And we had many a happy family holiday on the coast in a static caravan. I think that was built by Ace, and I'll drop a couple of pictures of that in here for you. But from there, both myself and Jamie grew up with parents and grandparents who had Tourers, and that progressed as we grew older. So my parents quite liked having Tourers. They swapped and changed quite frequently as the needs of the family flexed and changed as it went along. So we had small ones, we had big ones, we had bunk beds, we had fixed beds, we had big awnings, you name it, we've been through the lot. And they finally gave up touring back in 2017 with their last caravan when my dad just became too ill to do it anymore. He physically couldn't tow, and he physically couldn't set up the caravans in the way that he once used to. Now Jamie also grew up with caravans. His grandparents and parents had Tourers too, and for both of us we had that aim that we wanted to perhaps get back into that space when we got together. So our first little caravan was a Sprite. Now this was quite an emotional time really, because my parents started off with a Sprite too, so there was a little synergy there to where it all began for me with my parents, and also for myself and Jamie. So we brought a little Sprite Alpine, and we had that for a few years before we decided we wanted to upgrade and have a bit more space, because that was a little two-berth. It was one where you had to make up the beds, but it had a lovely end washroom. So we took the decision, and in late 2020, I think it was the end of the summer, we upgraded to a fixed bed, rear washroom, Swift 580, and this was a Fairway dealer special from Broadlane. So our next vehicle was a caravan. However, that said, both Jamie and myself had always had a dream of one day owning a motorhome. Now we planned that possibly something like this would come a bit further down the line, maybe as we hit our 50s and we could wind into retirement down the line. We had a bit of a plan. However, sadly things changed personally for myself and my sister, that during 2020 and 2021 I lost both my parents. Now, given what I've just described to you, that we grew up with caravans, it's always been part of our DNA as a family, the opportunity came there in 2020 for us to consider moving into a motorhome sooner than we perhaps expected to. So that's what we did. We took the decision that whilst we enjoyed towing the caravans to different locations, we wanted to get out a bit more frequently, we wanted to have more weekend trips, and for that reason setting up and turning the key on a Friday evening was going to be much more simpler with a motorhome. And it also meant that Jamie, with his driving licence, as it was at the time, and this has since changed, at that time meant when we got the bigger caravan, he could no longer tow, because of the combined weight of the car, and the bigger caravan meant his licence didn't permit. So for the bigger trips that were sort of 5-6 hours towing, it is harder work than driving a motorhome for that sort of length of time. So there we go. The perfect time came along. We were in a position where we could get a motorhome, and that's what we did. So our first motorhome then was a Bailey Autograph, and this was 18 months old when we got it. It was the 75-2, and this was with a fixed bed layout at the back, and this was at a time when the market really didn't have a lot of decent stuff for sale. Through that pandemic time, a lot of the decent stuff was going, prices were starting to rise quite quickly, but we managed to find one at a dealer who also gave us a really good price for our Swift caravan. So there it began. What we did find though was the French bed didn't particularly work well for us, and we wanted to explore at a point in time when I guess the market was settling or a good deal could be had about upgrading and swapping out to an island bed, because that's what we really liked about our 580. And I think we'll do a different vlog at some point in the future comparing our Swift Caravan with our new Swift motorhome that's coming soon. So we wanted an island bed, so roll on to the Jubilee in 2022 and a chance visit to Brown Hills up in Newark. We were on the Jubilee festival with the Caravan and Motorhome Club at the Club Fest at Beaver Castle. So we took a little trip up to Newark just to get a few bits and pieces, as it was just up the A1. And lo and behold, an auto trail tracker with the island bed that we have, the LB, was in stock. It had been used in the shows, it had been used in the showroom, and we got a really good deal. And like I said, the market was buoyant. We actually got as much money back for that 2 years on as we bought the Autograph for in the first place. So it was a deal that was too good to refuse, and it meant we could keep rolling on the equity we had in our vehicle as we went forward. So 2022 we bought the Auto Trail Tracker, and I think we like that layout, and I think as we've begun that search for that next motorhome that will be coming next month, we knew the layout broadly was what we've got now in the Tracker. So we'll be on to motorhome number 3 very shortly, and hopefully that will see us through the next 2 or 3 years, as this Tracker and the Bailey both did for us. And that is how we switched from caravans to motorhomes. And yes, as you know from some of our previous vlogs, we have tried the tow car. We used that a lot in the early days of the lockdowns and touring around England when it wasn't as easy to get over into Europe. However, as time has progressed and we've now taken those trips into France and Spain, that towed, as you know, just wasn't getting used as it was. So that's not something that's on the agenda in the near future. That might come back later in time. So there we are. We're at motorhome number 3, and you're going to get to see that very soon as we pick that up in June. But our next stop is France. And I'm just going to drop a little clip in here, because the first thing we've done this weekend while we've had this glorious sunshine has been to get out there and is to get it all cleaned and ready and prepped. So we will see you next time heading to France. I think we'll be heading down to Black Horse Farm, so I'll get a little vlog done for you as we begin those travels. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments, feedback and likes and subscribes that we've had in the last few weeks. It has been phenomenal for us to see the channel start to grow quite quickly, and we'll see you very soon.